Hi everybody, how are you? It's your girl Kenya and welcome to my channel. Hello to everybody out there in YT land. I again want to start off by thanking everybody who showed me continuous support on my last video. That was a really tough video for me to make, and once again the outpouring of love and support just made it like all worthwhile. So thank you to each and every person that left me a comment. I'm sorry I didn't comment back, but again, this matter is so extremely sensitive that I just kind of take your comments in and then, you know, thank you once I come back on the YT. I do have more of the story of my mother's passing that I would like to share with you guys, because it wasn't just her passing that I had to deal with. There were a lot of other things that I had to deal with, which are issues that are really important to us as people, and especially to us as women and mothers. So I will just begin to get into that in one brief second. Okay, I had to just gather myself for a second. I'm going to be making a series of videos about this topic because, again, as I said before, communication and sharing has always been therapy for me, and if I can help and touch anybody with my stories, which seem to be never ending, then I am more than happy to do so. I've said it many a times, I'm an open book. I'm not ashamed about probably anything that I've done in my life or that's happened to me. We all make mistakes. Mistakes are how we grow. Mistakes are how we become who we are. So I'm not ashamed of too much of anything that I did. So I will always keep it 1,000,000% real with you guys. Anyway, I'll have a top. Y'all know I have a habit of jib-jabbing and veering off topic, but I'm gonna try to stick to this one. Alright, so the last I left off, I was telling you guys about the hospital experience and the cause of death and things like that. Unfortunately, it did not stop there. I was faced with the decision of where I wanted to bury my mother. And at the time when I was asked the question, I was like, okay, you know, I now have control. I want her to come back to New Jersey with me. I didn't even think about anything else other than I want my mom home with me, is what I was thinking. So the doctor said, okay, well, let us know what funeral home you want to release her to and blah, blah, blah. And now I'm like, huh? Like, I'm not even thinking about all this stuff and processing all this stuff, but being her sole beneficiary, these are the things that I am faced with. Where do I want to bury her? What funeral home? So anyway, I said New Jersey, and I guess they made the phone calls to the funeral home that I suggested and prepared her to be shipped back to New Jersey. So after I left the hospital and made all those arrangements, I get home, and now I'm faced with, okay, how am I going to do all this? What am I going to do all this with? Because I know there's a cost. What is the cost? I don't know any of this stuff. My head is swirling. I just lost my mother an hour ago, and now I got to figure out what to do. Come to find out, she had no life insurance. None. Nada. The life insurance that she once had was canceled because of her pre-existing conditions. So she was not able to get any life insurance for herself. But what she did was she got life insurance in my children's names, just in case I needed it at some point and I could kind of take a loan out against that, or I don't really know how to put it into words, but I could kind of cash it out and use it for whatever I needed to use it for. Problem was, she had done it too soon. She had just recently purchased the insurance, so there was nothing to cash out. So I'm working with a budget of $0. Now I'm talking about flying my mother from South Carolina to New Jersey and having a funeral and burying her. I never was even anywhere near involved in a funeral service before. My grandmother passed away last year, but my dad and my aunt handled that, so I didn't know the ins and outs of funerals. So I started making phone calls, come to find out, to fly my mother from South Carolina to New Jersey and bury her in New Jersey would have cost between, let me be realistic, $12,000 and $17,000, whereas I had $0 because she had no life insurance. So not only do I have to deal with just losing my mother, now I have to deal with trying to come up with money to bury her. So now I'm like, okay, now I have to put all my emotions aside and think logically. Should I just bury her here in South Carolina, or should I bury her where I am? Then I thought about it. I said, you know what? My mom left no instructions, no letters, no nothing. South Carolina was her home. She lived there for 16 years. And if I brought her to New Jersey, I would just be being selfish. Not even knowing if I wanted to stay in New Jersey. I just knew that I had the final say in, where my mother went. I've been trying for years, y'all, to get my mother to move back to New Jersey, and she just flat out refused. So at the end, I felt like, okay, I have control of this. I'm going to bring her home with me. But I had to back that up for a second. I had to really take a big leap back and say, okay, well, what would she want? Would she want to come back to New Jersey? Would she want any of that? The answer was no. She wouldn't have. That South Carolina was her home. It was me that wasn't giving South Carolina a chance, because I just was being an only child and being stubborn and all that. I spent a week in South Carolina, and in that week I fell in love. The people, her friends, I see why she made that her home. So ultimately the decision was to bury her in South Carolina and her home. But there was still one problem. I still didn't have any life insurance or any funds. Make a long story short, I priced the funeral in South Carolina, burial and everything, $7,000. So now I'm like, okay, I have a solid figure. What am I going to do? How am I going to come up with $7,000? Someone tried to throw the idea of cremation. Oh, hex to the no. Oh, hex to the no. My mother, flaws and all, was a beautiful woman, and she needed to go out with that same beauty. I just can't imagine burning anybody under extenuating circumstances where, it was an accident and they weren't presentable. Then okay, I understand that, but I just couldn't see it. I just really couldn't see it. So yeah, they threw that idea at me because it was cheaper. It was probably like $3,000 or whatever. No. I have not always been a really religious person. I teetered back and forth with it, like, And I'll share this story sometime later. In between the time that my mother passed away and her funeral, something happened to me. A dramatic change. I mean, they always say, changes come in the midst of a tragedy, and I understand why. Because when you have nothing else to turn to and no one else, who else can you turn to but God? So I understand how sometimes it takes for you to go through the worst thing in your life before you realize His power and see His power. So I am grateful for that. In between that time that they told me the figure, I had a week to come up with $7,000, and I'm working with a zero budget. I mean, not zero, whatever I had saved. My family, who is very religious, weren't as optimistic as I was. I said, listen, y'all, I don't know how I'm going to come up with this $7,000, but I got a week. I'm going to come up with this $7,000 to give my mother a decent funeral and burial. By the grace of God himself, that money was in that office Sunday night, the day before I got ready to bury my mother. Sunday night, that money was at that funeral home. From her friends to, me, my friends, my family, everybody pitching in. We came up with $7,000 in a week to bury my mother. Never seen anything like it. I mean, that wasn't nothing but the grace of God, y'all. Seriously. The reason why I'm telling you guys this is because after that, I realized that life insurance is essential. You don't have to be old. You don't have to be any of that for you to have life insurance. You never know what's going to happen to you from day to day, and God forbid it be the worst end of it. What I went through, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. I mean, I couldn't even grieve properly because I had to worry about coming up with $7,000 to bury my mother, and everything was on me. I was the beneficiary. I was her last survivor. I'm her only child, so everything fell on me. I'm being pulled in 1,000,001 different directions because she had no will and no life insurance. So what I'm saying to you guys, especially to all of you ladies who are in your 20s, in your 30s, and in your 40s, if you don't have life insurance, get some. If you don't have a living will, write one. Write something on a piece of paper and stick it in your closet, just so if anything should ever happen to you, somebody will know what your last requests and what your last wishes were. It's unfortunate that my mother didn't, really foresee this coming when it happened, but I really wish that she would have left me something. Like, tell me something. What do you want? Do you want a funeral? Do you want, what do you want? She left me nothing. So I struggled through the entire thing. It wasn't until a week later that I came home and laid on my pillow where I could finally say, okay, now I can grieve. So for the whole entire week, from the time my mother passed away until her funeral, I couldn't grieve because I'm worried. I had to clear her house out. I had to get her furniture in storage. I had to do so many things that would have been easier if there was something in writing, if she had life insurance. So I cannot stress this enough to my Wati sisters, to my Wati brothers. For your kids, get yourself some life insurance. There's Global Life, there's MetLife. I got some life insurance, $36 a month for full-term life insurance. My children are covered. I cannot see this happening to my children and them being stuck with a funeral, Oh, gosh. I asked myself a couple of times, and I'm going to try to wrap this video up. Why me? Why me? Why do I keep going through things? Like, why can't I ever get my feet on solid ground and just go and be okay? Then the next question popped in my head. Why not me? Who am I? Why should I be set apart from anybody else who struggles with death and sexual abuse and rape and depression? And what makes me so different? So when you think that question, why not me, you stop throwing those pity parties for yourself, which is what I was doing. I was pitying myself, like, woe is me, why me? But why not me? I'm not exempt from anything. I haven't done much in my life to where, okay, I've done this, that, and the third, so this shouldn't be happening to me. I am just now coming into my purpose, and I am starting to realize that all the traumas that I have gone through must be for a reason. I'm like, okay, wow, so is this it? Am I going through all this so I can serve as that poster child for, okay, this is how you come out of it, or this is how you do this, and this is how you do that? That's what I use. That's what I tell myself, so I can wake up the next morning like, God has a purpose for me. There is something that I'm meant to do that I have not done yet, or something that I'm meant to be doing that maybe I'm just now getting ready to do. You know, losing a parent is probably the worst thing that could happen to anybody, but it's not without purpose, you know. And we want to beat ourselves up about what we could have did, or what we should have did, or, you know, I wish my mom would have told me, I wish this, I wish that. But the facts are is that it didn't happen like that. So instead of thinking all that, you know, you have to try to put your feet on solid ground and move forward, and try to think of all the lessons you can take out of this. You know, lesson number one, I want to be a little more open with my children, so in case anything does happen to me, they'll be aware. Number two, I'll never put that much distance ever again between me and anybody that I love, to the point where I can say I didn't know that that happened. Lesson number three, life insurance, not only just to protect me, but to protect my children, just in case anything should happen to me and they might need some money. Lesson number four, write a will of some type. Write some type of direction that you want anybody in your family to have. Even if you say, hey, when I die, I want to be buried upside down so the world can kiss my, you know, just leave something. So please, y'all, if you take nothing else from any of my videos, take some lessons. Even if you look at me and you say, you know what, I don't want to do that because she, fine, please do that, because that obviously is what I'm here for. I'm here to serve as lessons to you guys. If I can help anybody in any little way, shape, or form, then my job is being done. And it ain't over, y'all. Y'all gonna see this face for a long, long, long time to come, and hopefully it won't be in vain. Hopefully I won't be just another chick on YouTube talking about makeup. No offense to anybody else. I'm not, you know, don't jump on that comment, but I'm just saying, just like I stated in my very, very, very first video, I want to be that somebody that can help the next person. Whether it be advice, whether it be how did you get this job, or how did you do this, how did you do that. Each one teach one is my motto. I've rambled past the time that I said I was going to ramble, so I'm actually going to go now. I just wanted to bring some of these life lessons to you guys. Like I said in my last video, hopefully I can get back into the swing of things, and they won't all be like this. They won't all be so down and drab, but you know, I'm going through something right now, so I just need y'all to just bear with me just for a little bit longer. I do have some makeup videos for you guys. I do have probably what's going to be my last couple of huge hauls for you guys, and I also have one more big sale, and I will tell you guys why I'm having that sale in my next video. So again, thank you guys so much from the bottom of my soul for being here for me. It is appreciated beyond what this could ever say. It's here, y'all here. Every single one of y'all who watch my videos, every single one of you 1,400 and some odd who watched this video, who took the time to watch this video, and who commented. Now I'm getting ready to get choked up. Y'all already know. Y'all already know. Thank you guys so deuces.